Hey, how are we doing? Sorry about the little mix up there. I did have to switch it. There was a glitch this morning and earlier, and I wasn't sure what was going to come through. It was literally tied to their new changes on the platform. If you're unaware, they're changing a lot of what's going on. If you can give me just a second here to kill the other channel so no one's thinking that it's going to still go on. In fact, let's just leave it for now and come back over here. I'm going to discuss an issue today. We had to go to the police department today over someone here on YouTube, so I'm going to go over that, and I'm going to ask for a little bit of help here today, and we'll go into the whole details here. Everything's fine. I just, with a little backstory here, for those of you who don't know or haven't heard this before, my wife was harassed at work for quite some time, and we blew it off and we didn't do anything about it right away. And then it got to a point where they sexually assaulted her at work, and after that point it was pretty much we're always going to report something. Well, a year ago there was a person on one of my feeds, and there's folks in here probably that will remember this possibly, and I wouldn't agree with this person on my feed, and he just totally went off and ended up blocking him after he insulted subscribers for watching and all these other things. A year later, he's been harassing us online and posting derogatory, and I'm going to show you because he's openly doing this. I've already checked, we've talked to the authorities. He's broken several laws, including what seems to be a felony. So I'm asking for help here to, hang on, let me see if the sound's okay. I've got a computer running next to me. I had to do a bunch of technical stuff to get some more hard drives and other things. So I've got a PC working. So you might hear a loud hum. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about that because it was plugged in and I've got like a 4-hour thing running on it at 73%. So anyway, the point on this is, though, that for a year I've been getting notices from subscribers about this gentleman or woman or whoever it is posting comments on other channels. And, I just blew it off at first, but it's been happening a lot. Yesterday, I got like more than a dozen comments with copies of screenshots. And I know in the past I've told everybody, don't send screenshots of this person. But what I'm asking for is screenshots of this person. He has got... The point of this is there's an Ohio code. I've talked to the authorities now. I've talked to and filed reports with YouTube. He's violating the Menacing by Stalking Act of Ohio. It's code 2903.211. He's also committing a felony because there are minors present here in this place where he's doing this from, or doing this to. Not only that, if he lives out of the state, this is going to be handled by the FBI. So I will show you his name here. I'm going to show you one of the posts right this very minute. Normally I wouldn't do this, but he has openly posted this. So if you want to take a look right here, I am going to transition it. I'm sure some of you have seen this. This person has been posting these on other sites. I'm sorry, I'm flustered over this whole thing because I never thought I'd have to go to the police and file and deal with, FBI reports and stuff over something as simple as talking about reselling. But this person has been defaming my name, my father. And if for those of you who know, my father died when I was 17 and was my idol, my godsend from all those years of being picked on as a nerd in school and like in comic books. He was the only saving grace. My mom was great, but my father was the bomb. So to talk about my deceased father, who I thought about every single day of my life since he passed, is just beyond what I should expect to deal with from here. So if anybody sees this Lath Denton posting comments about me, please send me a screenshot. I have reported 14 pages of these comments to the police department here locally. It is going to be a federal thing if he's from another state besides Ohio. So again, I am sure you've seen these. He's posted this. This here is from another channel who has allowed me to post this here. I've got several from other channels as well. I'm not going to name any other channels because I don't have permission to do that, but I have permission to post a openly public post from this person. This is not a crime to post this. The whole aspect here, he's trying to criticize me, cracking on my dead father. This is just lower than low can be. In fact, the information here is totally totally a joke, as a matter of fact. Albert Champion did not found, and I'm only saying this so you can be sure without a doubt that this guy is a nut job. Albert Champion never founded Champion spark plugs. The Stranahans, Frank and Bob, or Robert, most people would say, founded it. They were here in Toledo in 1910. It is founding of this city. Everybody here knows that. The biggest park in the city, the nicest park in all of the city, where me and the wife go to bike and skate, and where everybody in town goes, is the Stranahan Mansion. It was donated to the city. It is the biggest house in the entire area by far, 33,000 square feet. And it's a town park now. These people, the schools are named after them. They set up in town and lived just a few blocks from my grandfather. I can, you can look it up. My grandfather lived on a street called Babcock, or on Burdan, and he worked for Babcock Dairy. The Stranahans moved their facility to a street called Upton, which is 2 blocks from here. They built a factory there, Champion. They supplied spark plugs to Willie's Overland Jeep, which is 2 blocks from my grandparents lived. My father hung out with the kids that their parents owned this company. He bought a car from Frank. Anybody who knows golf, look up Frank Stranahan. Chances are, if you're a golfer, you know who Frank Stranahan is. Again, one of the founders of Champion. This is such a flagrant lie of BS that's just retardedly insane that someone couldn't even find the correct information. The only answer is he is doing this with malicious intent. This is proven without a doubt a liable statement. A lawyer has already contacted me who is a subscriber on this channel. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but you can't defame somebody. That is a crime. It is also a liable offense, as well as the harassment, which I had no clue. Cyber stalking is a charge. It could be a felon if he's from another state. He has cyber stalked me because he goes to pages right after I do videos and leaves lacious, nasty comments and insults and cracks on me. So again, if you see these posts on there, please forward me a copy of it to my Instagram page under the Auction Professor. I am seeking legal justification to get him kicked off, as well as legal charges. If I can get a felony charge on him, we let one of these slide before, and my wife was assaulted over it. I'm not going to stand here and risk the well-being of minors in my house or my work facility over some nut job who thinks that it's funny to attack me. Mind you, this happened a year ago that he was booted from my channel. I've been ever since then harassed by these comments and posts. Again, it has been reported to Google, the authorities, as well as YouTube in general. So I'm just waiting on the responses. I've been asked to supply any more documentation that I can find. I submitted 14 pages of comments that this person has left on other sites with permission from the other sites. Again, these are open public comments he has left. They're defamation of character. I mean, this is just retarded that I should have to go through this with kids in my house and a wife that's already been tormented. And if you've heard this story before, somebody threatened to shoot my wife in the head on eBay over a return item like 5 years ago. We had to go down and do this once before. I'm not going to play. It's been a year. I thought nothing of it. I was talking to another channel who had to deal with one of these cases. He told me it was obsession, and that he ended up having to go to the police department. Turned out the person had a mental history. Somebody sent me a LinkedIn page with this gentleman's name, and I don't know if it's the same person, so don't go doing anything like that. All I'm asking for is screenshots of comments this person has left with my name, the Auction Professor, in it, from anybody who has one, sent to my page on Instagram. Again, I'm done with worrying about somebody showing up at my house or something like that, or my place of business or anything like that. You can't trust what's going on in society these days. There's minors. My son is not an adult, which turns this into a felony. So I'm not playing anymore. So, all I do is put out good content. And to lie about my father is just ridiculous, because, again, anybody out there can type in Champion and Stranahans and see exactly who created the Champion spark plugs and where they are located. So without a doubt, either this person doesn't have intelligence enough to do a proper search, which the first search result you will have is Stranahan Champion. But the point is that I'm not going to deal with this anymore to put out videos. This is the reason why I don't share Amazon or any of the other accounts with you. This is exactly the reason. Had these type of things not been around, I wouldn't have problems, but this is what happens to people just for sharing their opinions and what they do. I am not a drama queen or anything like that whatsoever. I give you out honest content. I just hit 10,000 subs, so if I'm not giving content, hopefully you'd see through it. You can see my biggest store, our eBay account. You can see I do other stuff. I am, just honest with what we are discussing on here and giving you facts. I'm done dealing with this. Again, I will bring this up again. Anybody has a post of this, send it to me. I've been requested to offer as many, and again, I've got 14 pages of this. And I stopped asking or telling people, I said, just please don't send it anymore. Now I'm asking you to do it. Several sent me stuff yesterday or asked if they wanted it, and I said no. So for those who said, that they had some screenshots, send those to my Instagram page. The more the merrier. This is going to end, whether it's a legal aspect or what. He's got 2 charges that will be pending. Once that, and again, I've been told by YouTube that once the police report is filed, they can request through the judge here in town for YouTube to release these personal information, which YouTube does all the time. They don't play around with harassment at all anymore at all. So again, I would like to get this settled, and I would like to get as many copies of these. They're on many YouTubers, including ones that have 100,000 on their subscriber list. Again, I don't want to call out anybody, but if you see one, please send me one. I don't want some psycho shooter showing up at my house and with my kids present turning that thing out, because I kicked him off my channel a year ago. It's just crazy that I would have to deal with this. And again, I apologize if I'm sounding a little off of it today. I've been working on computers. I didn't want to do anything like this, and I wanted to let it go. But after I submitted 14 pages, I sat down, I talked to authorities. I know what I can do, and if this goes to the FBI, they're going to ask for these. So if he's out of state, it's going to go to the FBI, and it sounds from what I see that chances are he's not a Ohioan, which makes it a felony and a double felony in Ohio because of the minor present at the facility that he's threatening with all these awful things. So again, I've done with it. Never had to deal with this. I get haters once in a blue moon these days. They've pretty much dropped off the face of the earth on my channel. Once in a blue moon, I'll get one comment, and that's it. I block, I do delete, as I've said many times. If you're going to leave something nasty like this, I do delete. This person is blocked from not just my site, but other channels as well. He will bomb your channel with multiples. This channel here was bombed with many feedbacks, all related to me and my channel over nothing. All I did was not agree with a statement that wasn't correct. I don't know what ego issue he has, but I'm dumbfounded that this guy is so obsessed with my channel that he's got to watch the videos just to make comments on other channels. It's been a year, for crying out loud. I'm done. I'm not playing. The police department already has it. And if it goes to the FBI, I'll be more than happy to sit down with somebody and talk about federal charges. Again, there is a law that just passed recently for cyber harassment as well as cyber stalking. Those are legit federal charges. My state has a separate charge as well. And I'm not even getting into the defamation or libel comments about my father, and this is just one of the nicer ones. So I'm giving you the nice one. So, again, if you doubt anything, look up Champion and Stranahan. My father is in a yearbook with one of them. He bought a car off of Frank. My grandfather played at Inverness Country Club with Frank Stranahan, one of the founders of Champion. I shouldn't have to say this. I should never have to go this far, but I've had it. My wife is now worried that somebody is going to do something. It's to the point of terrorizing the family about this constant stream of people sending me. And again, I'm glad you sent them. I thank every one of you who did it. And again, I've got 14 pages of this gentleman's, including the initial comments he made that got him banned. Because again, you guys know I'm anal about everything. I kept a copy of everything. So, I can prove malice without a doubt. So please help me out. Get me some more copies of this. And we'll move on from there. That's all I wanted to get discussed on this. I will bring it up just one more time for those who missed it later on. But again, it's old. It's done. I've had it. The wife's had it. The kids don't want to think about it. We lived through 9/11, for crying out loud. My kids know what it is to have, guns in the area. We saw military and the sniper shooting in D.C. My kids, me, the medical issues with my son. Do not need any more aggravation from somebody who's a hater from a year ago, for crying out loud. But anyway, I need to stop ranting, but I just wanted to get that out of the way. So on with the show, with what's going on here. So again, I do apologize for ranting on this. I am sure I will get some more comments and some more on this person. Again, don't do anything, don't say anything. I'm not asking for anything other than a photo of the screen. If you don't want to do that, you're welcome to just send me a name or of a channel that it was on with the date. Doesn't matter if he deletes them. YouTube already has told me they've got records of every one that's ever been posted. So again, you know, I've wasted half a day on this. I'm not going to let this go regardless of the case. I don't care what the case is. Don't go looking his stuff up. LinkedIn and the whole works. I don't want to hear any more of that, but the picture is what I really need. As many more as I can get. Many other channels have been very helpful in supplying me with copies and permission to share them. I'm just sharing the nicest or the nicer one out of them. So again, Leif Denton is the name of the person's account. He's a total troll. He's obsessed with my channel. He hates it, but he watches it and is obsessed. It's been a year. I've totally forgot about this for months until I started getting more than a dozen comments or messages with screenshots, you know, to attack my dead father, who it's just unfathomable. I didn't care if I lived or died after he died when I was 17, until I met my wife. So it's a touchy subject. My father, I'm the age that he was right when he died. He died on Easter Sunday when I was 17. So I don't play this lightly. I could have let anything go cracking on me. I could care less what some Joe Schmo down the street says. But the minute you brought my father, my dead, deceased father who died of a heart attack, it's just more than someone should ever have to take. So anyway, again, give me a second here. I'm sorry. I do have to apologize. I'm not one to go on about it, but again, this is a bit much. Hang on just a second here. Let me see where I'm at. Sorry, folks. Now that I got that out. Hang on a second. I see I did something else wrong. I'm sorry, folks. Again, there was an issue this signing on here. I'm a little out of sorts today. I do apologize. I have a very good friend who's second in command with the sheriff's department here, so you know, it was reassuring, and you know, I know that it's going to be taken care of properly. But it's just the whole principle here. To have to go through this, we went through the whole thing where they threatened, you know, to shoot my wife on eBay. eBay took it very seriously. You know, we got a call from the police. We filed a report. You know, I know the FBI has the site, and the police did tell me about that. I'm just going to wait, they said, until they get a notice that this is out of state. So again, we're going to go, hang on just a second. Let me change the title on here. Again, you see I'm a little out of sorts. Okay, so I think I got it. So I think I'm a little thrown off on the title of the show today. There we go. Okay, again, I'm sorry there. Sorry, folks. Totally sorry. I will discuss eBay stuff more along the lines, but again, this is extremely frustrating. I mean, I know I'm here on a social site, but you draw a line and I'm done with it. So anyway, let me pop up and see who's on here. Again, I'll try not to rant on this again. Hang on just a second here. Let's go up to the top. Again, I'm sorry about the switch on the channel. I'm sure I messed up there on some folks here. Treasure Experts, how are you doing? Welcome again, Mary. Hey, Hopsman, how are we doing tonight? Hope all is well. Hope you got some good stuff out of that, your filing cabinets with all those paper collectibles. Gigi, how are you doing? Virginia. Was in Virginia for quite some time. Lived just outside of Pentagon City during 9/11 and the sniper shootings, as I said. Mary Beth, how are you doing? Arizona. I have been to Phoenix once. That is the only place I think I've been other than driving through the state of Arizona. Salman, how are you doing? Jason Blake, welcome. And Salman's actually from Arizona too. Let's slide down a little bit here. Again, my feed does bounce around. Let's see here. Let's see here. Michelle W. I'm sorry, Michelle with 1L. Welcome. Let's see here. Wubbid Lubbid Dub Dub, how are you doing? Yeah, I know I'll get the downvotes. One of them, I'm sure I know who it is, and probably his friend, so, or her friend, whoever it is. Sourcing's not good there. Attic deals, evening from Virginia as well. Again, we live just outside of Pentagon City, as I said. Lots of yard sales in Arizona. People know like success. I don't know what you want to call it, but we're talking a year of this is just beyond fathomable. I know, I get other stuff, and people leave derogatory marks. Most of those just get posted. 99.9% of everything that's, even if it's bad or mocking or whatever, and you can look at the last couple days even to see that. The only ones I take off and delete are ones that have any kind of link or reference to a store other than, my own store, which is obviously most sites aren't going to want somebody else advertising their stuff on it. I do remove any foul language, and then any really derogatory marks either towards another commenter or towards me. If you're going to say something nasty, I'm not going to allow it on the site. So anyway. Hello from West Texas. Been there. We've got relatives in Texas, Jungle Nook. Retro Dottie, welcome. Glad to have you. Let's go with the Johnsons. Good evening as well. Sophie's Choice, how are you doing? My son is doing good. He did not go to school already. He's missed 3 days this year already, so. Let's see here. Yeah, I kept the countdown. I know I'm a little behind because of that rant, but I kept the countdown running until I got more folks in, so I could make sure the other feed was gone. And for once, I got fast food. I never get fast food. We were out dealing with all that stuff today, and then I still had computers running, and it's at 82%. So since yesterday, I've had several towers. We've just kept swapping out towers and, fixing, upgrading, and moving them on out. So anyway. Hey, Carl, how are you doing? Treasure experts. No, not shipping today. Hey, Dom, how are you doing? I'm going to be live tomorrow with Dom and Chris on Primetime Treasure tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, for those of you who are there interested. We talk a lot about Ebolos and just oddball stuff, all eBay, Amazon related. So if you want to hear some good content, tomorrow, 8 p.m., Primetime Treasure Hunters channel. I'll do some posts, and you'll see some push-outs for that tomorrow, just as reminders as well. Dom's a good guy. I've talked to him, and I'm glad for fellow channels out there that are just really nice people. Trolls and these cyber stalkers and people like this just are an issue for not just me, but for most channels. So when you usually bring up stuff like that, most channels are readily to help you to stop it and to set out some examples. And so, I was very glad, and thank you for the other channel support, the other channels that did reach out and offer assistance. So again, I appreciate that, as well as the folks who sent me stuff. Again, I'm not asking you to do anything other than send me a photo of that. If you missed it, it's in the beginning, and I'll show it again a little later so you can see who and what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Cornelius, Deveni, welcome. Mad Joe, welcome. I'm sure I'm going to move down here. We'll get it caught back up a little bit here. Yeah, countdown doesn't usually take that long, but with what was going on, I had to switch from channels. There was a glitch. I hate the new eBay or the new YouTube setup. Things are large, and for me, I have to adjust. It's just a big nuisance there in all aspects of it, so... Well, thank you, Carolina Picks, for the $5 super chat. Honestly and sincerely appreciate that. I'm not one to call out that or ask for it. I honestly forget it's there until somebody does it, but I thank you very kindly. Again, I know that my stuff helps people, and I know that the content is solid, regardless. So anyway, let's move on. Again, thank you, Carolina Picks. I greatly appreciate that. We all do here. So, Miss Mimi, welcome. Junk Data Girl, how are you doing? David, welcome as well. Yeah, as I said, I'm not very much up on Arizona very much. Aaron, how are you doing? Welcome, Mike. Bianca, welcome. Sound is good. Let's go on. Welcome, Larry. Hey, Larry, how are you doing? The cherry picker, welcome as well. Let's see here. Hey Scott, how are you doing? Yeah, this is something that you just wouldn't think of, but over something as simple as kicking somebody off my site for making fun. I'm sure there's probably one or two folks. I didn't get a admin and a hand out a wrench until the very next evening. In fact, I think it was even that evening. Annie, which usually is on here, she's in my Patrons as well. She was my first anchor. I needed somebody desperately. She was an awesome person. She's always helpful and very knowledgeable. So right after that evening, that's the first time I got one because of this person here when I had to block him. And I couldn't figure out how to do it since I've never had to block anybody that up until that point. So, you live and you learn, but we don't take any chances anymore. As soon as you start to insult and do libel and defamatory comments about me, my family, my deceased father, not knowing anything, and there's minors here, so and minors work for me too, so you're making a threat to establishment, the whole establishment, because this is the auction professor. It's an official name, so I just don't get it. There's 3 charges I was told that this person could be brought up on from the authorities. So, and that this, if it's out of state, it goes to the FBI. The FBI handles all interstate claims of these. It just goes to the FBI. Everybody knows if you file a complaint online, it goes to the FBI for the Cyber Crimes Division. This goes through another branch, but the harassment they take very seriously, as does YouTube, from what I understand. Again, because I did report and I did converse with someone from YouTube as well as Google. So anyway, again, thanks. Let's slide on past all of this. Let me move on past all this. Oh yeah, he's Mary Beth. All of these are on another channel. He's been blocked on my channel for a year. Somebody, I don't want to call the name, but a very well known and very well liked YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers. I got the first time I found out he was doing this was, geez, it was almost a year ago. Somebody had sent me a message, and I'm glad I got great subscribers and a lot of good people here, and people point these out, so it just happens. I always see it, and eventually I got tired of seeing it until people just, thank you, don't send it out. I'm asking for it, as I said, but hang on just a second here. Yeah, my feed from my end's like all over the place, so hang on just a second here. But I got call-outs, and people told me, hey, you better check this out. And the person was posting all these comments on other channels, and I was like dumbfounded the first time I saw it, because I'm like, it was all, typical BS stuff, just like you saw in that post there. But I don't know what's with people these days anymore. All I could say was people, because I've dealt with cases with employees having people stalking them and being harassed and stuff as a general manager and as a regional manager. I know enough to know what the laws are, at least on harassment, and he's stepped over the harassment line. I don't know how long ago. When you follow somebody's internet activity, like going to another channel, and I go on another channels, or other channels bring me up or something like that, and then you make comments, that's literally stalking. He's stalking, or she is stalking my whereabouts online. That is internet stalking. That's a felony over state lines. In fact, they gave me a name. I haven't looked it up yet, but if you look up Terrence Young, this is straight from an agent who works with the FBI, but he told me to look up Terrence Young. The FBI just prosecuted this case over a stalking, internet stalking or cyber stalking. This Terrence Young got 46 months in federal prison for stalking internet-wise. So, I mean, I know that it's a charge they told me I should have done and reported this months ago, but, I tried to just ignore it. You can only ignore it so long. Once you start to defame my name, and of course they've been doing this the whole time, but now I've got them for other activities because they're going around following me online, and whether they delete it or not, YouTube's already, I'm sure, frozen all those, or at least copied them. Whether they've done anything with them or not, I'm sure they're going to do an internal investigation. I know for a fact with the Me Too and all the stuff going on that they don't play around anymore at all, so he's going to get his just rewards. And as I said, they do release personal information, and I'm sure they'll be able to track him down. I have an IT degree, so I know what you can do just from his MAC address on his card. If he's doing it at work, he probably won't have a job. So you know the whole works. Or if he works for the federal government or something, you can't stalk. Even the charge would be enough to exclude him from any type of and this is from the authorities. This isn't me looking this up. You know, this is from literally authorities telling me this. It looks like my feed is incredibly behind. I think I've got an incredibly large delay, but anyway. Let me move on here. Yeah, it's not. This is just one comment. I have 14 pages of comments that people have sent me over the years' time. And again, these are just the ones that I accepted. So, you know, there's probably like a book's worth of this guy's rantings and posts on probably a half a dozen channels I know for sure, because I've personally seen them on other channels. There's probably dozens on other channels. So I'm sure there's some YouTube channels out there right this very moment who have seen this or seen posts by this person. If you've got any other posts by him, please forward them to my Instagram post. I'll be eternally grateful for you. Again, I'll show it again in just a little bit here. If you didn't see it, you can rewind it a little bit here. I've got the DVR on, so you can go back while it's live and see that as well. No one should ever be harassed or worry that some psycho is going to do something. With all the spats of shooting around, I was told I should have long since done this. But again, I don't bother people, and I don't expect people to bother me. You know, and to get thumbs down to be talking about the safety of my family and people going around doing this is just incredible, too, that I'd get 4 thumbs down discussing people doing stuff. And I know some people think, oh, that's nothing, but you know, people get killed and harassed and all kinds of stuff like this on a daily basis, you know, with everything going on. So, you know, I take it seriously these days. I was a regional. I've had employees beaten up by, you know, loved ones and things in restaurants that I've worked in. I saw a stabbing in a restaurant over some extramarital affair. Anything can happen. So I'm not playing it. The police told me this as well, you know, especially since I'm on a social network. They told me to take it very seriously. So, you know, that's what I'm doing, and I'm reaching out and getting more documentation, which is what I was requested. YouTube said the same thing, get as much documentation above and beyond what we have, just in case, because they can't turn it over to the authorities until, you know, it goes through a court something. They have to get a letter from a court that states they need the release, which I'm sure the minute they, you know, this goes in front of a judge, he can bona fidely say, because I've got, you know, the site's name that he's been posting these on, the other channels, and I've even got other channels that will agree with what's been said and supply me with copies of this. So again, I'm taking it totally seriously. And see, I got another thumbs down for, you know, that's fine, you know, take it as you wish, but you know, life is important. My family's safety and well-being is important. If you don't know, I've got a son with a heart condition, so just further stress and any issues to worry after we went through 9/11 and all the other things as my kids did. So, you know, I'm not going to play around with it. The medical term would be cray-cray. Yep. Yeah, there was an online bully thing too. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of charges this person could be up, and there goes the 7 negatives. That's fine. You know, if someone can't vent, you haven't had it happen to you ever, or your wife wasn't assaulted before, you know, that's fine. You can take it as you want. But for anybody who's had somebody assaulted or raped, in the case of, you know, family members of mine, I don't play anymore. I'm just, it's so over this kind of stuff. You know, the hatred for no reason, just for talking about collectibles, is insane. So anyway, yeah, I agree with many of you. I can see. I'm not going to sit there and answer because there's a lot of them going on. You know, it's just insane. The post I showed you is proof of malice. I just can't believe that they posted enough information for me to have no doubt to win a criminal or a civil case against, you know, slander. This is, I don't need any more proof. I've got 14 pages of it, at least civil-wise. You know, I know for fact what an officer told me is there's plenty of information here to, you know, get approval from a judge. So, you know, it's insane that someone would have to go through this. It's insane that a wife or your kids would ever have to worry about something as simple as talking about collectibles and antiques. It's insane, but anyway. Well, yeah, Sophie, I get you. Destroy reputation. My feed's grown, my channel's grown. If I'm putting out BS or something, I would think that I wouldn't be going anywhere. I would think that I wouldn't get half a dozen messages every single day these days about something they found because of me. And this isn't a brag. This is just what happens. I know the information's good. There's other people, Dom's on my channel. He sells mostly the same things, as well as most other people do. So it's not, it's ridiculous. That's all I can say. And to thumb down the fact that somebody's, this type of person gets these enjoyments out of this is just crazy. But, it takes every kind, I guess. I'm sure I'll probably get some people unlike my channel or whatever, but, you're missing out. And the fact that these people still go to your channel and watch your videos just to make comments. He had to have watched the video to get that comment, because that's far into it too. So, anyway. Yeah, I didn't want to. I wasn't going to go and discuss it, but since I was asked to supply as much information as I can, once you can establish that it's happened on more than a couple of sites, I can prove that it's now turns into stalking charges because he's following me around now. If he had only done it on one spot once or twice, that'd be a different story. But now that they said it's gone on for a year, it's turned into something more so that should be a worrisome event. So just FYI, I learned a lot by this. I never had an idea about these laws or anything else like that. So until you ask or look into these events, you won't know. So again, I thank another channel that I talked to for a while who had a similar incident, which did turn violent. So that's kind of why I decided to just report it and be done with it. You never know when somebody's going to do something really stupid. So again, I'm not asking for anything other than a image of the comment left. Nothing more. Don't do anything else, please. Nothing on my behalf whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. I'm just asking for more proof to turn over as well. So I will have to wait otherwise for more evidence from YouTube to turn it over. If I can turn it over sooner, I can get the ball rolling, whether YouTube kicks their feet around or not. So that's what I was told by the authorities. So anyway. It's not, and again, it's not, I don't feel it's destroying me because in many cases I've had people see the comment and say, hey, wow, I wanted to see how awful this person was, and then came over and said, wow, his content was great, and I got a bunch of subscribers. I'm sure it might have been other people who don't look and investigate stuff probably just said, I'm never going to watch him because of what this person said, which again is basically a crime. It's defamation, So, I mean, there's just so many legal aspects I could do about this that, Anyway, at this point, we just don't want to be bothered. Again, thank you, Carolina Pix. I think anybody who watches me enough knows that I'm pretty sincere about what I talk about. I'm sincere with knowledge. I don't talk about stuff out of my areas. If I was a know-it-all, I'd talk about everything. I'd only show you what I sell. So, it's offensive to be called otherwise when you only talk about a very select. I talk about the minority of stuff on eBay or Amazon. Most people don't sell or mess with the stuff I do. So, I don't know. If I talk about factual stuff, I don't know how that's being a braggart. It's just talking about life, Oh, let's move on here. Yeah, and I'm not doing this for any pity or anything. Anything else. You can see it's a legit post. Again, these are from all other sites. Tons of channels from what I understand. I gave up looking and thanked everybody when they would send these to me from the last year or so. But, now if you still have those on your phone or, you'd plan on sending them to me or whatever the case may be, please just send them along at this point. Because I know I've got tons of them already, but if I can get a couple more sites, it just much more includes and expresses the fact that this person was going about this for a long, methodical time. So after a year of doing this, to still be getting these, and last night was the final straw. I didn't even want to read anymore, but I did save copies of the ones that were sent me because you're talking about my dead father again, my deceased father, my guiding light, the person who, was there for everything to help me until I was 17. So, I'm sure there's people who've been there and know what I'm talking about. I think about the guy every single day of my life. To sit there and mock my father and factual evidence on his life is just, Well, it's beyond me. And to mock the Stranahan family, which anybody, in fact, the authorities laughed about that because everybody here for a 100-mile square area knows about Wildwood, the park here in town, the Stranahan mansion. It's a tour site. You know, they helped found this whole area. They just tore down Willie's Overland Jeep, the factory. It stood behind my grandparents' house for all of my childhood life till I was like 10. They just tore down the rest of the building. I think they imploded the Overland smokestack. It was like a 10-story smokestack like a year or two ago. So you can see it from the main highway through town here in Toledo area. So anyway. Let's move down here again. I do apologize. I'm not trying to do a rant. This was not my intention at all this day. I had a whole sheet of things, and unfortunately, you know, I'll probably have to take till tomorrow to get this out of my head. You know, I'll be hopefully getting some more scans today, and we'll go from there. I know there's other channels out there. I don't know every channel. I don't watch a lot of channels. I rely on people these days. You know, a lot of people have sent me those, and I do thank you, especially the first one who sent me that yesterday. And then, well, I don't want to call it any names, but there's several on here now that gave me some information about it too. So again, I don't bother anybody else. You don't see me making derogatory remarks on anybody else's side, excuse me. If I don't like what somebody says or I don't buy it, I just don't watch it. I mean, I just don't understand. But again, this person watches the videos and then has an issue for a year. I mean, this has turned into a stalking, you know, case, and that's exactly what I was told, that, you know, this is a legitimate stalking case. Cyber stalking, but still. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Disney Family 515. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Stacy. Thank you, Michelle. Junk data, I have information on. Yeah, you were more than welcome to post that over there, Junk Data Girl, as well. I did get a pamphlet. I got a pamphlet from them too on it. They actually have a full-fledged pamphlet, and they got a pamphlet now on, because Ohio again instituted their own menacing by stalking, and again they gave me the code 2903.211. I mean, I got a whole bunch of stuff here. They gave me a bunch of notes. I filled up paperwork. I don't have a copy of it yet because I have to wait till it gets stamped and entered into the system. But once I got that, I can proceed, and it can be taken to a judge, and they can request the personal information of the person sending it. You're not an unknown on the internet, for regardless of what people think, and people have other accounts that they can tie it to in your business. And a lot of people like this, I was told, do it from their place of employment because they wouldn't want to be caught at their home, and then they usually lose their job. I mean, they went into a big, huge spiel about, you know, what happens and stuff like this. But anyway. Meadow 4 Gemini, what is your opinion of times to list? Does it matter? I don't care what time to list anymore at all. I used to do Sundays. If you're doing auctions, we used to do Sunday list date and then end the next Sunday because more people were home after church. So like ending something Sunday afternoon, like between 6 and 9 used to be a thing 10 years, well, not even 10, probably 6 years ago or so. Nowadays, I just list whenever. Whenever an employee is here or somebody's typing up a listing, we list that day. It doesn't matter what, when, how, where, or anything. I don't care anymore because they're all bins. They're all buy it nows. They're all make an offer. They're all just out there for you to do it. So, you know, that's what I take it as. So, you know. Yeah, Miss Mimi, I don't care what somebody says about me, and I've always said that because, you know, I'm used to it as a general manager, as a regional manager. I've had windows bashed up in my car. I've had bottles thrown at my head. You know, I've had the police. I actually hired, when I worked at Meridian, an Applebee's in Meridian years back, I hired 2 off-duty police officers to work in my restaurant in the evenings because it was just an awful experience. Slashed tires and fights, and it just got to be, you know. So I've worked very closely with the police department. I actually used to serve them for free in my restaurant. I knew the chief of police very well, including the chief of the fire department when I lived in Mississippi, because I did stuff. We did donations, and I did all their functions, and whenever they needed something, that they had a long event right after Hurricane Katrina, we donated the use for them to use, and we fed them all for the entire hurricane. my company was lucky enough to be able to get in a generator to run the restaurant. I was the only restaurant in town for like a week after Katrina hit, and we served every officer in town. So whenever I had an issue, they were there in like seconds. I mean, we took care of every officer in town. You know, I used to do TV commercials for the restaurant and stuff. They all knew who I was religiously. Everybody knew me by first name in that area, and it was a nice experience. So, but anyway, I've been around the block a few times. And again, I'm not bragging. That's just the way it is. Somebody's probably seen a few of the things. I know there's one person that subscribes. It's from Mississippi, so. Hang on, my feed's just bouncing a little bit. Well, Frank Zaragoza, I thank you very kindly for the $14.99 super chat. Again, I'm not. I get comments that I'm out here for the money and all this stuff off of YouTube. That's a joke if anybody's done YouTube. And I know there's some people on here. You don't make squat, considering the amount of hours I put in here. Honestly, Frank, I really sincerely appreciate that. I mean, that's very gracious and kind of you. Again, I'm not. This is just a discussion. I'm not sitting here trying to get anything from anybody else. 99.9% of our income comes from having, 65, 66, or maybe 67,000 items, listing. So that's where my money comes from. I don't. It's almost comical when people say that. If you want to know what a YouTuber might make, just go to Social Blade and type in a YouTuber's. I think you can just type in their channel name. Somebody else has showed me a while ago. I don't really do much with that, but it's pennies for an entire year. If you add up the hours you put into video editing and all that kind of stuff, it's a lot of time. I do charge for a Patreon group, 100% true, but I do spend some time on it. It's a lot of time, and last week I spent I don't know, I want to say 40 plus hours last week working on a guide that I'm putting together. So again, I put in a lot of time, and if I equated it dollars per hour, I make so much more money just doing straight out eBay. But I enjoy talking about what I do. I don't have as much acquaintances as most people would because I'm not working somewhere else. I'm working for myself. So I don't have people that I interact with other than sourcing or on here. And that's just the fact of life, that it's a lonely business for a lot of people. So it's different. I'm used to talking and giving speeches at restaurants and stuff, or doing new menu rollouts, or discussing issues with the store as a regional when they needed help for sales or whatever. That's what I'm good at. I like doing it. I miss it. I miss talking about my business, my life, and discussing, P&Ls and all that kind of stuff. So, that's part of why I do this. Frank, man, you're a real good guy. I really appreciate that very kindly. So, this is the reason I'm here, Had I not, if it wasn't helpful and I didn't get all these reassuring, comments, and people found this, just the other day, someone found something worth $1,200 because of something in one of the videos. I made their month, if not their year. It's the most expensive item they've ever sold in their life. And I know there's a postcard person that sold one not too long ago for $400 for something that I told them to buy. I'm not the know-all. I don't know everything, and I mess up sometimes. And I never said I didn't, but I give you what's best. I try and research everything I give you. Obviously, it's impossible for me to show every single item I talk about by owning it because we sell everything, So I do show things from eBay or other sites that have sold because it's the only way you can do it. There's no other way to discuss something unless you own every single item in history to show it. So, we're confined to certain aspects of it, and there's certain things I legally can and can't show. So, there's a lot to this, and people just don't realize it, that it's, it's a love more than it's a venture, I guess you would say. If anything, my art would be, a push for it. I don't know how to take some people on stuff like this when they, Anyway, let me just get off that little rant there again. I'm sorry. Why would he care on? My gosh. Yeah, I don't understand, but that's life. Yeah, and I thought about not discussing it too, but I was asked to supply as much information. So, and there are several people, well, more than several, quite a few people that I said not to send it. And unfortunately, I didn't save the text. So if you can just send that, I would appreciate that. Again, let's get down to some eBay questions, please. Let's move to a totally lighter subject here. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't give out, personal addresses. My personal address is not on anything that we do business wise. But as an artist, unfortunately, I do have a DBAs and stuff. But as a professional artist and someone who has worked for places, I can't really change my name. It's the only unfortunate aspect of it. We've always had unlisted numbers since my wife was assaulted. So, we do what we can to be cautious. A very, very good lifelong friend. I knew him since he was 7. Is in charge of literally where I live. He's literally the second in command of the whole entire department for the whole county. So, at least I've got, good people, and stuff, and people who know what type of person I am. Everybody who's met me, and there's a few that have met me here, knows I'm just a normal person. I don't think I'm anything. I was a nerd in high school for my entire high school. I was endlessly picked on for wearing glasses and reading comic books and stuff like that endlessly. I mean, to the point. That's why, my father was always there and was always the one who cheered me up. He'd take me out. We'd go hot rodding around in the car or something on a bad day. But I was picked on relentlessly. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I never had the in-style clothing. So I know what it's like to be harassed and picked on. I actually moved from one school to another after I had stitches from someone. So, I've been around the block. My father was always my saving grace. And to bring my dead dad into this is just insane. So, that's what you got to live with. Ended up going to a Catholic school and switching in mid-season because of stuff like that. And my father was always there. Before my father passed away, I watched my grandmother die for 6 months from cancer. Year before that, my grandfather passed away. He was getting up there. He had some issues. But long story short, it was my dad and me were very tight, and we had really gotten close before he passed. So, that's one of the subjects that I don't like to get into very much, and that's extremely offensive to me because my dad. There isn't a person who has ever said a bad word, and I'm not trying to brag or anything else. My dad was one of those people that everybody gravitated to him. I'm not that type of person at all. People just don't do that to me because, they think I'm out there, a nerd, or whatever the case may be, which is fine. Everybody's allowed their opinion. I don't really care. But the point was my dad would fit in every group, and just the fact that, anyway, I'm the same age he was when he passed, so my kids are in the same age group as me and my brother, so, it's a touchy subject for some people. It's not something you should have to deal with at all, so, anyway. Again, my feed's back up, so I'm sorry to keep ranting. Let's just skip down a little bit. I'm sorry if I don't call you out, but we don't want to dwell on this the whole show. Yeah, I didn't even bother Mike looking up on Facebook. I don't really care. Maybe he instantly went and pulled him down. I'm just going to let the authorities deal with it. Who knows where he is, who he's at, where anything like that. It's just probably a fake name or something. Or he's using a friend's or a family's name. People have pointed out, links for stuff that could be him. But I don't care. Don't do that. I don't want any links or nothing. I just want the screenshots. The police have ways to get it. The FBI was just a phone call away is what they told me. So, anyway. Yeah, Junked Out a Girl. I don't know about all that stuff. Somebody sent me a link to something, but I don't look into that. Honestly, I think people overestimate what you make doing this. I mean, anyway, enough of that. But if you got any help, I'll be happy to take it. I've seen some of your videos, Junked Out a Girl. Shame you don't make some really nice new ones. I haven't looked on your channel. Why? Maybe you do and I just missed it, but you do have some good ones out. You don't need to look up his stuff. I don't know if it's him. I'm not trying to suggest anything. All I'm asking for is derogatory remarks mentioning my name on another channel where they have no business being, just again to substantiate what was going on. Yeah, I'm not asking for anybody to do anything. Again, I 100% don't want anybody doing anything. All I'm asking for is proof to turn over to the police department. That is it. Just proof for the police department. Nothing more than a screenshot ever. I would never recommend or do anything to anybody else because I am a pacifist. I am not a antagonist or anything else like that. There's not much other way for me to get copies of it because I have no idea where this guy's posted them. I know he's done it for a year now because I get messages, but those are just the ones that people bothered, and I did tell people to stop sending it. So, oh, thank you, Neutron Bomb. Jacob Charles, thank you. Yeah, sudden treasures. I don't talk about 90% of what everybody else sells. I don't know everything, and I don't talk about clothing at all, which is what most people do. I don't get into video games very much. I don't get into, except the ones that I play and stuff. I do buy those. I've got an Atari and stuff here now, but I mean, I don't talk about stuff I don't know. I mean, it's so obvious by looking at my videos. Everything I show you is stuff that you would find at the exact same place. If you go to an antique mall, every single video I've ever done, you will find those at every single antique mall in the country. So I don't understand why someone would even think that. Now, if I came out and said I know books, I know every single thing out there. I haven't a clue on shoes other than a few types. I haven't a clue on clothing anymore because we gave it up. I don't scan books anymore. I couldn't give you much modern day information since they did the big push on the charges and storage fees. I don't talk about any of that. I don't know any of that anymore. I've centered in on niches, as everybody knows. And everybody who sees my videos, you see what I sell. You can go look it up. Now, I'll admit some of my items will not show up in solds. You'll see them in the video, and you might not be able to find them. I have hidden a few items here and there, just out of respect, out of some people and stuff, and so that the information isn't out there. But for the most part, you can see every single thing I sell and I show you. So I don't know why people do this, but again, I'm not taking any chances anymore in life. You know, especially with mass shooting every single day of the year now, I'm not going to take a chance on it, you know? So anyway. Let's see here. Yeah, I know I don't really need to prove anything, Data Girl, but, you know, sometimes you just, I don't know, you feel like you have to, I guess, at some point. At least I don't want a shred of doubt, I guess, that, you know, like the whole thing about Champion spark plugs. There's another Toledo girl on here. Oh, geez, I don't know. I can't remember her exact name. But anybody who lives in 100-mile square area from me knows who the Stranahans are. There's a grade school here named after these guys. DeVilbiss was another one that they owned the DeVilbiss division too. You know, so I mean, and DeVilbiss was a school that my father went to. These folks went to their kids. The Stranahans kids went to the local schools because they lived here. I mean, I don't understand how you couldn't get that. Everybody knew the Stranahans. My father used to run, I can't think of the name. There's an ice capades or an ice skating thing. My father, in fact, one of these days I'll show you a picture of my dad skating because he could do the, 10-foot jumps, literally. I've got some slides of him jumping, but the Stranahans used to skate there, and my father knew them from the skating aspect of it, which was kind of interesting. The kids, the Stranahan kids, and I think there was 4 of them. My mom even knew a couple of them. One of them went to Central Catholic, a local Christian or Catholic school here. So anyway. Yeah, Michelle, with, I didn't even want to come out and announce this. I don't think you guys have ever really seen me dramatizing anything. I don't really care about drama. This is more for safety after we've talked to the authorities. I want to make sure that there isn't some nut job out there. This guy or girl doesn't have, like, some criminal background. If he's working for somebody or the government or something, he loses his job, so be it, and if something, that's not my problem. He's put my wife in a worrisome situation. I've already got a worrisome situation because of a child who has ventricular bigamy. His heart beats faster than it should be. He's got extra beats, is the case. So I don't need any more. I don't ask for trouble. I don't go to anybody else's place. I don't cause trouble. I state what I know. If I disagree with somebody because the factual evidence isn't there, that's what I'm going to do. If that offends somebody, I'm sorry, but I go on factual. I don't judge by someone's opinion. Obviously, if there's a chance that it's real, I'm going to look into something. I take advice. I've changed things. I think everybody in my Patreon group knows that I take input. Like the guide, for instance. In fact, I'm not going to call any names because I don't want anybody else harassed for being members of anything, but there's people on the feed right now that I've changed stuff for just because of comments. I don't know a ton of stuff, and I try not to talk about stuff I don't know. Like when I talk about eBay or stuff, I call eBay. The last conversation I had with the suspensions on comic books and stuff, I put 3 calls into eBay. I didn't just guesstimate on it. I wanted to know what they said, and I didn't trust the first person, so I called back to make sure I'd get the same answer from somebody else, which I did. So it's a very good thing. eBay is getting up on the ball. Yeah, they're doing the policy crackdowns, but You know, I guess it needs to be done. I guess I'm guilty in some aspects for listing stuff in a different category, only because they sell better in the other category. I didn't think that was a crime, but apparently they're going to start dinging you for stuff like that. You know, that's fine. You know, I'll just follow the procedures and move on. I'm done with it. You know, I'll fix it and move. I'm not going to dwell on them or hate eBay. You know, eBay's just not the only game in the town, and I do love eBay, but, you know, things do change, and you have to keep up with the flow. Let's see there. Well, thank you, Anthony. I do appreciate that very kindly. Yeah, no retaliation. I don't want anybody doing anything. All I want is copies to turn over to the police department. Anybody doing anything, you're risking your own well-being. So don't do anything. All I want is photos. Copy a screenshot sent to my Instagram page, The Auction Professor, would be just simple enough. If you don't want to send it, that's fine. No names will be shared. I'll just download a simple screenshot. No names whatsoever are needed anywhere whatsoever. It'll be cropped down, eliminating any sender's content. I promise you that without a doubt. Let me slide down here. My feed's bouncing all over. Paul Michael Murray, well, thank you. Yeah, they're all over the place. Last night there must have been a dozen or so up, you know, on different sites. So, you know, luckily, you know, I do have a very nice and very good group of people that share stuff in contact. I do chat with people personally on the phone, even occasionally, or through Instagram. I don't have a chance to answer all of them, so if I don't answer everybody, it's no offense to anybody, just like emails and stuff. If you saw the amount that you get in sometimes, some days I don't get a ton of them, but other days I could have, geez, a lot of comments and stuff, you know. And again, I don't hide anything I do. I never have said I didn't delete comments or feeds that are nasty or anything like that. If you post a link, it's automatically held, not even by me, it's held by YouTube. If you post foul language, it's blocked. You know, all that kind of stuff is just automatics too, you know. Somebody here does look at every single comment, at least to know to post it. I've blocked or deleted, I think, maybe two personally, and maybe the last month total, you know, and that's pretty darn good considering, you know, that how many watchers and stuff we've got and subs, so. Let me see here. Did I miss something? Hang on just a second. I don't want to miss anybody here, but it looks like I missed something. Yeah, again, my feed's all over the place. Well, I don't know where it is that I missed, but it looks like I missed something. Again, I'm sorry about being kind of out of it today, but, you know, I never like going and reporting or doing anything like that. I shouldn't have to, but the internet is not anonymous, so I can 100% tell you that. Everybody has a MAC address tied to the device that connects to the internet from whatever you're connecting, every single one. And if you're doing it from a phone, everyone is linked to a tower, and they can figure out exactly where your phone was and what you did and who you looked at, everything. It's just insane. Every piece of data you do online is not hidden. I mean, it's insane about what you can find out. Yeah, let me just pop on back here. My feed just keeps bouncing. Thanks, Dom, as well. I hate the feed sometimes. Now I gotta figure out where I'm at again. Pang1, well, thank you for the $2 super chat. I honestly appreciate that. Thank you very kindly. Again, this conversation is, I'm not trying to get anything out of anybody other than a photo, so I do appreciate all the super chats here. Geez, my feed is just terrible today. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know it's just one guy. I do appreciate that too. It's more the long lines of family members should never have to worry because I want to post a video about something. And again, as I do artwork and stuff, if I ran by a different name, I'd have to do a whole bunch of stuff, and it wouldn't tie to the history of some of the stuff I did. I've sold stuff to, you know, companies and stuff, and I don't want to not get that credited to my name if I change my name for an issue simple like that. You know, it's just something you have to live with. Hang on. Let me get past all this crap. I'm not crap from you guys, but, you know, just I don't want to keep going in on about it. Yeah, I know some of the thumbs down are not, but I usually get enough to know, and it's usually this person and a couple other people. So, again, if you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and smash that like button. I do always forget to say that. Hang on. Again, my feed's just all over. I'm trying to find comments. Thank you, Mogo. Thank you, Greg. Neutron Bomb, Josie, Callie S. Yeah, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm just taking legal action. It's just, I didn't know there was a law. I wished I would have thought about this sooner. But after talking to it, there's another channel out there. I don't want to call it anything because it's somebody they've discussed before on their channel. I don't want to get into anybody else's ordeals either, but there was another channel that had similar issues. So, once, they said how long, and they thought I was crazy for not saying something sooner, because there's literally 3 criminal charges that would all be felonies if he lives in a different state. One because of the minors, but the other ones would be like defamation, which I could sue libel and like own his house or something if I really wanted to. Especially because I do have a channel and I do make some form of monetary from it. That's literally hurting a monetary source or a business, which is against the law. So, anyway. Well, I thank everybody. Miss Mimi, thank you very kindly. Again, I don't ask for this. You guys don't have to do that. It's been a long day. I'm sorry. I don't, again, mean to keep ranting on this. I don't do this. I can't even tell you when the last time I had a rant was. I'm not one to draw the whole big rant or anything like that. It's just never me. I was an altar boy, and the worst part of it was being in front of all the people, and I'm not a big, I don't know. I'm more a shy, timid person. Again, thank you, Miss Mimi. I honestly appreciate that. Well, thank you, Bruce. This isn't usually the comments you'll get here, Bruce Gray. I'm sorry to bring it this direction. Usually it's just content and talking about eBay. Again, if I missed you, I do honestly apologize. I'm just trying to get past, trying to move it to a better topic. Jamie Brown, hello from Missouri. Yeah, Treasure Hunt. That's exactly what I was told. If he's spending this much time over a year, that I should be worried. That's what the police department told me. So I'm taking it very seriously, and that they said the same thing. It's luckily, though, that I do know the lead guy in charge of the entire county. His guys do my kids' school. I know bunches of them. I've talked to the local department last time I had an issue. I filed before with the fraud department with the FBI, and I had to get reports locally over somebody trying to scam me on eBay. So I've been through every gambit of this type of thing. As a regional, I had to handle cases and appear in court for employees when stuff like this happened in physical locations that the company owns. So I've seen it from both ends of the deal. I know what the documents are. It's one reason why I saved the initial blocking documents. I've got stuff from a year ago when I first started, and I save all that stuff. And I think you guys seen some of the stuff and how anal retentive I am on a lot of this stuff. So luckily, I do save all that stuff. I've got, nasty comments from other channels. I got all kinds of stuff just because I keep it. You never know when something's going to turn into what it is now, which is cyber stalking and cyber harassment, as well as some other stuff. But okay, now it looks like I'm back where I was, I think. Yeah, Commonwealth Picker. I've heard that from somebody else too. Again, because I brought this up and somebody sent me it from another channel, and then I ended up contacting that channel. Before I forget to, don't forget tomorrow night at 8, I am on Primetime Treasure Hunters channel with Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler as well. So it's me, Dom, and Chris again. Same thing we did before. It's going to be a real good conversation. Tomorrow at 8, Primetime Treasure Hunters. I'll shoot stuff out tomorrow for everybody, Instagram, Facebook, and I'll put a little comment section up here as well for everybody, just so you don't forget. Again, you guys know I'm good with Dom. He's a real good guy. We talk a lot lately, and really got very fond of Dom. Same thing for Chris, too. Chris is more busier than... Well, I shouldn't say busier, but Chris's time's like stretched all over the place, too, so... Yeah, I just picked the background. Yeah, Mary Beth, I agree with that. Treasure Hunt, yeah, I don't think you would if you did. We've went through this in person. My wife was physically sexually assaulted before at a work location after it was reported, and the guy in charge just joked it off because it turns out he was friends with this guy, and it went on and got worse, and we had to seek legal action and the whole work. So anyway, we got the better end of the deal at the end of the day, but my wife should have never had to go through that, Anyway, so I don't play anymore. I don't play anymore at all. After having Windows bashed out by people, people do stuff. I don't trust anybody anymore, and I'd rather catch it before it gets to a point where I have to worry, so anyway. Yeah, he's wasting his time. I don't get it. And welcome again, Paul Michael Murray, as I said. There goes my feed again. Hang on just a second. What is my opinion of the fall update? Nothing really to worry about in my opinion. I haven't seen anything really that's detrimental. I just wish, the one thing I have a problem with is they did not announce in the update that they won't allow you to send media items in other categories than media categories. So I know I talked about this before, but it's just a nuisance. I wouldn't have a problem with the policy. I only have a problem with the fact that they didn't announce it. So what happened is I wasted an hour on the phone for them. Even the employee I called the first time they did this hadn't a clue what they did. They didn't even tell the employees. That's the only issue I have about the update so far, is the fact that they did other things with the update, but they didn't include it in the update, nor did they tell or announce it to even their own employees at the help center. And one of the employees who didn't know this was one of their eBay ambassadors who's been with them for a very long time, which was odd that they wouldn't even tell people higher up. So eBay is doing stuff and not telling the regular employees. So I don't. That's my only issue. I'm fine with everything with the updates. It's nothing that's going to change or affect my sales business at all. I'm fine with no more 30 days and stuff. In fact, I think it's actually improved my sales because now I'm ranking more on Google searches, and a large chunk, like it's maybe like 40% or 37 to 40% of traffic and purchases in my store now are from off eBay sites. So that means they're coming from Google. So if you end your listing after a week or after 30 days, you're cutting that option off. And I'm telling you, I'm selling stuff that, just oddball stuff, left and right of stuff that I was almost ready to discount. We stopped all discounts. I haven't done any of that kind of stuff because I've just had a chain of sales going on left and right. I mean, this morning, well, not this morning. In fact, it's probably still on my phone. I sold, one guy bought 3 lots of just 4 single stamps for one for $40, another one for $40, and then another one for $45 in like 2 minutes. In fact, I don't know how well you can see it, but I've got a pending offer for $50. I just got a payment for $45. I got another payment for $37.79. And this, you can see, it's in the last 50 minutes to an hour just since I've been online. So let's see here. Another one there, payment received. Items sold $45. Best offer $45. I mean, right there in the last hour, I've got almost $200 worth of sales. So this is what's been going on for me lately. We literally were going to cut off the promoted listings as well. We were thinking about it only because I don't really need them at this point. I'm just giving stuff away cheaper and it seems to be selling. I honestly and sincerely think that Google and eBay paying for Google to get in there is really paying off for people that have the patience. I was picking up my oldest son from college today. He needed a ride for something. And we were riding on back, and I have satellite radio usually, but for some reason there was a AC/DC song on when we first turned on the car, so my son listened to it. Right after AC/DC played, there was a eBay commercial immediately after that, and it was on primetime rush hour traffic. eBay is out there. I'm telling you, I'm really surprised. I've been hearing, and I don't listen to the radio for squat. It's almost always satellite XM radio. In fact, I'm going to talk about that one day. I've got my favorite purchase. I've got a satellite XM that I bought at a Savers like 3 or 4 years ago for $2.99, and it ended up having a lifetime subscription. We still use it in the car, and I've talked about it once before, but I got another one the other day that I'm going to give to my kid. But anyway, let's move on from there. I see Midwest Picker, but if I didn't call you out, I do apologize again. I'm trying to get down to some more questions, more levity to the show. As a fellow Elvis fan, I also appreciate your Elvis shirt. I almost bought a second one identical to this. I got this at Spencer's at the mall, believe it or not. And in fact, I may get a second one in case this one wears out because I love this shirt. I mean, I love a lot of music. One of my favorites is, I love the Beastie Boys. That's one of my all-time favorites. But I have to say, growing up in a household where your mom listened to Elvis constantly, she had like 50 of his records. I know songs, and "Wearing That Love Done Look" is really, honestly, one of in my top, say, 50 favorite songs of all times. And "Rubberneckin's" another one. I love that, and "Superstitious Minds" and "In the Ghetto's" a really good song. I mean, I love some of the Elvis songs, I have to say. Even though I'm a big alternative rock fan from the '90s, I know them all. I have every single song that was my popular favorite songs of the day. When we go to karaoke, if we hit the karaoke, it's usually a what's the name of the song? Now I'm not going to be able to remember who it is. "So Far Away," I usually do. Shoot. Somebody's going to call it out there, and I'll remember it after the show, but there's one song that I only do at karaoke. It's the only one I really like to do. And I'm not going to sing it, of course. But and then we do the trivia night. We always win the alternative '90s trivia nights. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm heavy into music. My thesis for my master's degree covers influence of music. I mean, I wrote 60, 70 pages worth of it. My projects and stuff for other classes were all music related, and the music effects on the baby boomers. And I mean, that's what I do. I love music. I am embedded in music. There is not a place in my house that doesn't have 1,000 songs on something. I mean, I love music. I am enthralled. I sell music, so it means a lot more to me than a lot of people. So I dwell on it. I know my stuff in music because I love music. I grew up listening to again, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so all of the records my mom had were usually from garage sales for a quarter. In fact, my very first own personal piece of music was a quarter purchase that my mom made of the Talking Heads. And I think it was it's got "Road to Nowhere." I don't remember the name. I can picture the album, but it's got "Road to Nowhere," "And She Was," and my favorite song is "Little Sister," I think is what it's called, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I could sing it. "Stay Up Late," that's the name of it. I'm sorry, "Stay Up Late." That was one of my favorite songs out there. Obviously, I've morphed into... I like all kinds of music, let's just put it that way. We'll go to a jazz club. I can sit there and listen to Megadeth all day long, too. So, I just love music. There's rockabilly that I really love. And for those in my Patreon, I'm going to call out a group here. Hang on. Hang on just a second now. My typing skills are not always the best. This is my favorite of all time rockabilly song. It rivals Johnny Cash in my book and Elvis's early stuff, but I just posted it up there. It's the Baboons, "Drinking Gasoline." If you're in Patreon again, you've probably seen that already. I listen to it at least once or twice a week, every single week of my life. I love that song. They're a German group. It took me a minute to figure that out by listening to the song, but I love music. I love any music. I just love music in general. I listen to everything you could imagine. I know a lot of people don't like rap, but there's a lot of... I'm mostly old school. I had Montel Jordan on. "This Is How We Do It." I love that song, too. That's on my tops. So I listen to all kinds of stuff. So "Voodoo" is the song, and I can't remember who sings it now. I'm totally off my game today, but it's the only one that I really like karaokeing is the song's called "Voodoo." But anyway, I'm sure there'll be somebody out there who'll say, "How can you forget that song? It's a '90s song." The group had many other songs, and I wished I could remember the rest of their songs. Anyway, thanks, Mike, and thank you, Salman. Let me see here. Yeah, Data Girl, I got another Christmas one coming out this year, too. Prices have changed and fluctuate on that as well. Thank you, Josie, as well. Another Patreon there. Thank you very kindly. Yeah, Kamaloth, I am fine. It's aggravation. We've got growing pains from advancing and doing all this stuff, and I've been moving stuff around, and we've got other stuff going on unrelated to this. I am working on animation. Tomorrow we have we've got employees coming in 2 hours where we're just going to discuss a project we're working on. No eBay work. It's just literally a animation thing. Again, I work for Disney. I was privileged enough, very, very graciously privileged by Fran Kirsten, which was head of Ink and Paint at Walt Disney Studios at MGM. She was very nice, and she helped me with getting some mural assignments from Disney, and she supplied me with all the paint color codes and all the correct colors so I could paint murals for Disney and for the Magic Kingdom, the Fantasyland. If you go into Disney, I got a huge mural there that literally they came in and they glassed it. They put it all behind glass and protected it and framed it and everything else like a couple of years after I did it and stuff. So it's still there. Somebody sent me a picture of it like 2 weeks ago, and as soon as you get off of the behind the scenes tour, you get off the elevator and my mural is right there. It's like a 20-foot mural I did. One of the few privileges I got working at Disney is I got to the castle is built up above the ground level. It's actually 2 stories above ground level. You can't see it from the way they've got it angled because all the ground's like that. But when you come in behind the castle, there's an employee parking lot. You come around a corner, and if you go right, you gotta go into services and receiving. And if you went straight, it goes into the back area by Reedy Creek Improvement. A left goes straight to the tunnel system, and I got to take up one of 20 whole spots of people that got to park there for like 2 months. And I got to bring my wife in. We got to avoid going through security. It was really neat. And we parked right at the entrance of the tunnel system, and then I got to bring my paints. It was the only way they'd allow me to bring the paints and stuff like that, because Frank Kirsten was at the NGM studios. And then when I did that, I was literally doing the painting for Magic Kingdom, Fantasyland. And I did other stuff for Fantasyland. I did touch-ups in Small World and a few things for Peter Pan's Flight and stuff like that too. But anyway, enough talking about that. Rockbird Toruda. I probably butchered that. I do apologize. Hello, how are you doing? Alejandro Santos. Well, thank you very kindly. I lived in Florida, as many of you know. Again, I did work at Disney in Florida for 10 years at the studios. Hello. Excuse me. Hello from D.C. I lived in D.C. We lived off near... right outside of Pentagon City. When we first moved there, we lived off of the main route that you go from Alexandria to Fairfax. I can't remember the name of that street, but I know when I got stuck in traffic on the Beltway up there, sometimes people could walk faster than we were moving in traffic. So if I lived a 20-minute walk or a 10-minute walk from work, it sometimes took an hour or more in a car. You know, it wasn't really something you wanted to walk at 12 o'clock at night, but... Again, thank you, Josie. Mongoloid, thank you. Yeah, just be nice. Let me just, I'm going to show this one more time just to ask to make sure everybody saw this. If you didn't, I literally went down to the police department this morning and filed cyber stalking charges on this person, as well as cyber harassment. This person a year ago was booted from my channel for insulting me as well as subscribers, and now he has been stalking me on many other channels. I've talked to YouTube, Google. If you see this person posting comments anywhere, don't do a single thing. All I am asking for is a screenshot. I would never recommend anybody or ask anybody to do anything for me other than supply me with a screenshot of the post, especially if only if it mentions me specifically too. Again, this person is posting defamatory comments, libel comments. He's got malice. He's showing malice as well. He was kicked off the channel for doing the exact same thing. He's been kicked off other channels as well. And the police have stated that this person, since a minor is present in the facility that he is mocking, the auction professor is basically an entity with people. And because my employees, including family members, do help edit videos, they are part of the auction professor. It is a felony to make threats where someone is a minor, which was given that information to me by the police department. There's also a charge of menacing by stalking, which is an Ohio code, revised code 2903.211. And on top of that, if he is not in the state that I'm in and is sending these from other locations outside of the state, it becomes an FBI issue and will be a felony because it crosses state lines using communication devices to do that. So again, I'm not playing around anymore. I'm done with somebody insulting and making totally lie statements about my father. Again, if you don't know what Champion Spark Plug is, it was invented and founded by the Stranahans, Frank and Robert. I don't know who this Albert, whoever he's talking about is, who's mocking my dead father. But again, spark plugs, you can do an instant Google search, and the first thing you should see is Champion Toledo, and the founders listed on every single spot I've ever seen as the Stranahans. So he's just totally giving false information. Again, I never denied that I don't delete BS like this. This is not from my channel. This person is posting them all over YouTube on many other resellers' channels. For those of you, if you have sent me in the past a notice and asked if I wanted to see a screenshot of this person's, I do now, even though I told you I didn't before. Again, I am not asking for anything else other than a screenshot of these harassing statements so I can turn them over to the police department, or if this person is out of town, out of my state, over to the FBI. Again, there are laws which I was unaware of for cyber stalking, and this person is following my appearances and locations online and then leaving these incendiary remarks. So again, I just want it stopped. My wife was assaulted before. We've had other issues where people have threatened. I don't play around, and it's not appropriate to making these type of remarks and to mocking and harassing people when minors are present. Again, I take very seriously anything that bothers or scares family members when people are stalking you. This happened a year ago. This person is so obsessed and his ego was so hurt that I would block him, I guess. I don't know, that he has to go out over a year's time and do this nonstop, constantly on everybody else's site. So if you have a channel or anything else and you've seen these posts, don't do anything other than send me a screenshot. I just want evidence, more evidence. Again, I've got like 14 pages of stuff from this person posting this, so it's not an isolated one-off incident. It's not on my channel because he's been blocked for a year. Again, I forgot about this and told people just to not send them, but again, yesterday I got dozens of messages, including many screenshots. Again, don't do anything other than send me a screenshot to the Auction Professor on Instagram. This is a crime. Again, so anybody, hiding it or any information on that, you don't want to be an accessory. This is a legitimate crime. The federal government did pass cyber stalking, which means following you around online and doing derogatory remarks, just as this person has done. There's a cyberbullying one that this would qualify for as well, but it's 100% harassment also. So enough on that. I will cut it off on that. I just don't want to miss this. All I'm asking for is screenshots and nothing more than screenshots. We still got some time here, so we're going to go back to the conversation. Let's move back up in here. Question with Patreon sub: do you provide descriptions of the topics covered in your videos? Every title on every Patreon video says pretty much exactly what's in it. Yes, I do that in Patreon. There's also, in fact, I've got it updating right now, but I've got a list of every YouTube video on what the content is as well that you can download or have a copy of in Patreon as well. So, which it's searchable. It's a Word document. You can just do the find option and you can search stuff in there too. Alice Faye in DC. Well, thank you very kindly. Yeah, neutron bomb, as I said, they gave me an FBI case to tell them how serious, because I was like, is this going to go anywhere? The last case was somebody who was cyber stalking, just not as much as this, or was doing it more so than this, but they got 46 months in prison. In fact, you can, let me call out the name if you're curious. There's a whole story about this. It's Terrence Young. There's like a couple names in front of that, but if you type in Terrence Young, Y-U-N-G, and cyber stalking, you'll see a huge thing. And in fact, it goes into all the laws. So if you've got any other issues where somebody's done that to you, the laws have since been changed and updated to address all of these issues, just because of the suicide rate from peer pressure and all the other terrible things that these bullies and cyber stalkers do. So just report them if you have similar issues. I would never ever want anybody to be harassed, or even this person doesn't deserve to be harassed, but even though he's got some serious issues. But again, we just want to end it and seek whatever legal action we can. I know there's a lawyer who's a sub to me. He already told me that I would instantly win the case. The judge would probably recommend it, or the lawyer for him, this or girl or whoever it is as a defendant would probably just settle out of court, because the posts that he saw literally are enough evidence to prove malice as well as him stalking, because they're on places where I've visited, so it shows that he's actually stalking, and wherever I go he seems to show up. So that, and it also shows an intent as well as malice. Now if he wasn't posting them right after me, it would be a different story, right after I was on a channel or did something or somebody brought my name up. So again, he's sunk himself you know, evidence-wise, there's too much evidence out there at this point. YouTube says they hold all that stuff, and as I said too, YouTube, from a order from a judge, will release his personal data to the police department, or at this point, since he probably lives out of my state, it would be the FBI that would be requesting it, and they can do it here locally with the local judge because that's where I live. So, you know, it's not going to be a big ordeal to just let them deal with it. So again, that's where it's going. Yeah, my leg is bouncing, Charles. I'm a hyper person. I do a lot of stuff. I got ADD and all that stuff, so my leg is bouncing. I do apologize. I didn't get to walk today. We were doing other stuff. We do exercise and stuff and bike ride. In fact, the Stranahans is a place we usually go bike riding. So again, I apologize if it's bouncing around a little bit. That is definitely my leg. I don't know restless leg syndrome, but I always got to be moving and doing something. Yeah, I get you there on Caroline Picker. If you don't like it, just watch something else. The same people come and watch it, and then they'll kick the dislike after they watch it. They'll get the content. Yeah, unhinged is what was spoken to by another channel, just because after a year, I don't know anybody in my life. I've never met anybody that would go a year and bug somebody for a year. I mean, I just move on. I don't get it, you know? But anyway. Let's get down to some more eBay questions. Okay, the feed just bopped, but I think I got it again. Thanks on the haircut. I got a lot of comments on the haircut. Wasn't my intent. I don't... Yeah, obviously, you see I'm not really a big appearance person. I didn't care about what my hair looked like, and I still am not a big fan either. I don't really care. I just lazy and don't go to the place to get a haircut, but I'll just keep it short because I did get a lot of comments on it. That's the only reason. I just was tired of it in my face. I'm not a person worried about that. I don't dress to the T. I wear what I like. I don't care if I don't fit in with what everybody else does. I just me. Again, my feed. I hate my feed. Hang on, let's pop down. Again, if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get past this again. Hauptmann, the filing cabinet contained the guy's entire service record from World War II through 1960. Well, that sounds like a pretty good find there, Hauptmann. It's always good when you have like the service record and everything all together because you got provenance and the whole works on something like that. It's a really good thing. Glad to have you, Charles. Let's move on here. Boy, my feed's just all over. Yeah, YouTube's they're working on getting rid of that, the thumbs down. They're going to fix it so you have to watch so much, so you actually giving it a thumbs down because of the content, not because you've just got some grudge and every day have to subscribe to somebody just so you can go click dislike. It makes no sense. I just don't go to another channel if I didn't like the content. I don't know what... Just like a remote control on the TV. If I don't want to watch something, I change the channel. I don't sit there and moan or write up notes and say why it's awful. What time am I going to be on primetime? 8 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow on Primetime's channel. Everybody's allowed their own prerogative if that's what they want to do. I don't even click thumbs down on anybody's video. I don't really care. I just don't click a like. You know, I can't say it's a bad video. It just might not like it. This might not be something I'm interested in. Thumbs down is saying it's bad. You know, if I don't like something, it doesn't mean it's a bad video. I don't like clothing videos because I don't sell clothing, but I don't dislike them because I could care less. It's what they want to do and what they're doing with their channel. Do I find Hot Wheels cars nitrous die cast? I buy them when I run into them. I don't go to many thrift stores, and I really don't mess with... Yeah, I'll buy them anytime I see them. Let's just put it that way. But I haven't run into any good batches in a while. I don't go to garage sales. The thrift stores, Savers is closed, as I've said. We don't have anything like that. The other stores in here, Goodwill sends most of that stuff off now to their own auction site. Salvation Army has to be doing something with their stuff because they just don't put anything good out anymore. So, there's just not many sources for stuff like that. My pickers don't mess with too much Hot Wheels. One of the pickers I know gets them, but I am not the person he gets them for. So, and I'm not going to step on anybody else's toes. I'm just happy that a picker picks the items that I'm really interested in. So, I wished I could find more Hot Wheels. I'm just never lucky enough. Well, thank you, Neutron Bomb. I really appreciate that. Money from Mars, yeah, I mean, they can hide behind whatever they want, but, in all honesty, the FBI, it's just a matter of clicking a few buttons. Everything is routed through somewhere these days. Anybody who's doing stuff online thinking they're not going to get caught is crazy because, I mean, even a college student, can take a class and hotwire into something. Anything's available on Tor. If you don't know about Tor, you can pretty much download anything. Even if you go and delete all this stuff, it's still there. And YouTube keeps copies of all this stuff. I didn't know all what they do or what they keep or what they, because I talk to them. So, I know enough to, to follow through on this. Yeah, Josie, I know everybody, and I do appreciate that as well. I know you guys wouldn't be coming back if you're not getting something out of this. I'm not going to watch somebody's channel if I'm not making and getting something out of it. So, I do my darndest to give you good information. I don't know what else. I really try hard. I share some stuff only on Patreon. Again, because my time is worth something. It's got to be worth something. I could be just doing straight eBay. It breaks the monotony as well being on doing YouTube. So I'm not doing eBay all day long, or I'm not sourcing all day long. We don't travel anymore too much other than with family just because I don't want any issues with my son. I don't want to be too far away from potential doctors or anything. So I don't do the road trips anymore unless we're all going or something. And so I'm a homebody, and anyway, let's just move on from here. Yeah, Dom, I got you there too. I tried to ignore it, but after a year, it's just gotten to be, when you get dozens of comments over a certain length of time, constantly people are saying, hey, he's doing this, somebody's doing that. It gets old, and then to bring in, your deceased father who was like the light of your life, and it's just awful, I literally didn't care if I lived or died after my father. In fact, the day he was buried, the Wednesday after Easter Sunday, that he died Easter Sunday, he was buried on Wednesday. Right after it, I was in a really horrific car accident on M151 in Michigan. Again, you can look it up. Highway Patrol, Michigan Highway Patrol were there. It was in 1986, I do believe. It would have been in... it was still cold out. It was still winter. There was snow on the ground and all. So, I didn't handle things very well at all. I was a teenager and, anyway, long story short, it's just something you don't draw lines on. So, anyway. eBay suggestions, I don't pay attention to any of the eBay suggestions on prices on any collectible out there because there's nothing to base that on. Usually if you look at the at least the ones I've gotten in the past, they were insane prices. I would never have priced any of that stuff. I priced mine based on my own experience and knowledge. I never rely on eBay for that. Now, if you're selling something brand new or an RA item or something, I would probably at least look that up when they say that. Because usually the new items where there's hundreds of them selling, those prices are pretty much dead on. I have to say eBay has been improving that sort of thing greatly lately. Impressive-wise, even like the radio commercial. I was just shocked because I've been hearing them all the time, and I barely listen to the radio. And so I've asked some of my son's friends and stuff like that, and they hear it on the radio too, and they don't mess with eBay, but they've heard enough commercials, so... eBay is spending money to advance the site. It's just very obvious. Michelle with one L. I get excited. Yeah, I get excited about what I like. It's. I don't want to say a turn, and I don't want it to sound weird, but it's a immense thrill when you walk up on something that's historic or 150, 200 years old. That the last time someone probably touched this was, who knows, a soldier from the Revolutionary War or something. I do get excited. It's a thrill. It's like treasure hunting. I'm metal detect occasionally too, so it's that thrill of the find. It's unique, and I love being able to look it up and you remember some of the stuff. Like if you're doing cards or something, or you've got some collectibles and it's got somebody famous and you didn't know who they were, you learn something by buying historical items. And, I didn't used to sell what I sell. It used to be a lot of clothing and books and stuff like that. But, through time, I've just gotten so much into the vintage and collectible that I don't even care about the other categories anymore. I pass by stuff that I can make money on in the clothing field, when I'm out. Even pickers. I was offered a jacket the other day. It wasn't one that would fit me, so I didn't buy it, but I could have made some money. I just didn't feel like messing with another piece of clothing. I don't have to have every sale or everything that I see. I don't have to buy it anymore. I'm not in that state anymore. I'm not trying to, again, it's aggravating for somebody to say I'm bragging. It's just the way it is. I don't have to go buy this stuff. I know there's a couple folks that we just had this conversation talking back and forth on Instagram. I don't have to make purchases every day. I don't have to make purchases every week, even if I didn't want to. I'm just good, bad, or different. I've got a huge assortment of back stock. Is you buy it when it's cheap, and then you don't buy it through the winter if you don't have to, because in the winter months everything is more expensive. So you stockpile everything up through the slow months, and then come winter I don't have to go out and source. I've got all this extra time to crank out sales through the end of starting like right now, because again, garage sales are almost a done thing around here. There was 3 the other day, and that was it. I didn't go to any of them, but that was all that was around. And around here, in the in-season, you can't drive down the road without seeing a half a dozen garage sale signs. So church sales are mostly done. We'll be going back into estate sales. There'll be some in the winter, but most of those don't even go on in the winter. Sometimes they'll rent out a building and run an estate sale outside the location, but other than that, I've been around the block. We've done eBay since eBay was eBay. So I'm nothing special. I don't ever claim to be. I don't know anything different than anybody else. I've just done it for 20 years. I'd be an idiot if I couldn't figure this out after 20 years. And I luckily had an uncle that was in an antiques locally, in an antique store. And when my grandmother passed away, we went through the state, and I was always fascinated by stuff. I have my great-great-grandmother's grade cards from like 1852 from Germany, and then I've got some from when they came here in Ohio area in the 1870s and 80s and stuff like that. I've got marriage announcements from 1880 or 1899 from my great-great-grandparents all the way up through mine and stuff like that. I've kept those. I saved them. I love family history and stuff like that too. So what I deal in and what I talk about that's what I talk about. Again, every single item I show you, if you go to any antique mall, you're going to see, I think everything I show you would be something almost that you would find in an antique mall. There might be some newer stuff occasionally that maybe not, but even those little ColecoVision handheld games you run into at those kind of places, even the new ones and stuff, and I'll run into places, and even at antique malls and stuff, you can see new magazines, and sometimes there'll be new collectibles there too, but... Charles, hey, how are you doing, Charles? I responded, I think you had an email out there, I responded to that in Patreon, so just take a look. Good news, so nothing you have to worry about in your response on that. Well, good to hear you're selling paper. Hopefully, Charles, you're making enough money to see that it's a ton of money involved in it. Yeah, as he said, it's mostly long tail. The first item you sell pays for a ton of items and you never have to worry again, and it's just making up profit from there. It just depends on the specific items you get. When I first started selling paper and stuff, we couldn't get the best stuff. It wasn't available all the time, or I didn't know the right source or the right location to get it. So what happened is we branched into different areas. I went more specific and more into a confined niche with paper until we figured that out, and then we went and branched back off. And that allowed us to get higher priced paper that would sell a little quicker. Again, once you know it, you got your sources, locked down, you can really make some ground. And again, thank you, Charles. Very kind. Newfound Past had enough with harassment, only does Patreon. I'll have to look that up. For all I know, it's the same person. Maybe I should write that down and just curiosity's sake. Does anybody know what happened with Newfound Past? I heard that name, and I was trying to figure that out before. Somebody else I talked to about the same thing, and it wasn't that page. So anyway, I wrote that down. Thank you, Pang One. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you as well, Alice. Yeah, I don't worry about the thumbs down. I never worry about that. I just brought it up because of the conversation. Yeah, that's usually what I do. But again, this is the same person for a year time, and I get comments constantly from people who are on my side who realize this guy isn't all there. Is the title background your work? Yes. I personally did the animation title in front of this one and in front of the art professor. Again, I got a second channel that we just put up. I got another video coming out for that channel this weekend. Just FYI, it's going to be a breakdown on how to draw that specific one, tools used, in the whole works. It's already shot. All I have to do is finish editing it together because I got a segment on the art supplies, the close-up, and then the illustration itself. But yeah, I do the animation in there. We are literally working on a full-fledged characters. I've already got the characters drawn, painted. Tomorrow is a what do you want to call it? I can't think what you want to call it, but it's just a brain trust conversation tomorrow. Everybody, we've got some employees coming in. I've got somebody who does some awesome voices. Somebody my oldest went to school with. Does some really good voices. I mean, I wasn't thinking much of it, but then he came over here and just some of the voices he does. His SpongeBob is like the best I've ever heard. You'd never know the difference. Not that we're doing SpongeBob or anything, but his voice talents are incredible. I was really lucky that somebody locally is willing to help me out on that too. So. Well, thank you, Heather Hines. Thank you very kindly. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate your videos. It has really helped jumpstart my business and take it to the next level. Hopefully you're doing some good sales for some items that I'm talking about. Again, a lot of people know about besides, but I just try to talk about what I know, as I said. Thank you, Mongol. Yeah, Josie, I get that as well. I just started watching your channel. It's very interesting. Well, thank you, Nitrous. Honestly, I don't know what this background. It's royalty free. That's what it is. Like on backgrounds in here, you can't just use anything. So, I believe this one came from Prelinger, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't know what that is, just type in Prelinger. It's a big database of royalty free stuff. There's a couple other ones. The Internet Archive, which is run by the government, has a huge database of stuff like that too. But anyway. Who else is selling Popeye's chicken sandwiches on eBay for $1,000? I don't know that one. Popeye's chicken. What did I see the other day selling for some insane amount of money? Oh, shoot, now I'm not going to remember what it is. It's some kind of vegetarian burger that my wife loves. Locally, they're like $6 for 2 of these patties. But on Amazon, they're like $100. Jeez, I can't remember what it is, but they're sold out everywhere. I mean, if you could RA that item, you could, even with putting dry ice and everything in there, you'd still make a fortune. I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it after I'm off the show. The wife would instantly know it because she loves all those vegetarian burgers. Well, thank you, Mongo. I appreciate that as well. I don't give out my average gross sales. I've got several stores, so I would only combine it, and plus we do 9 platforms of income on the internet. I'm not going to give out any gross sales. It's not relevant to the questions here. Where am I at? Oh, I'm sorry, my feed just moved a little bit. Let me go back down. Special deal. Hey, Dad's Vintage Garage, how are you doing? Yeah, Carolina Pickers, I got you there too. I love my mom to death, don't get me wrong, but my father was the closest. My brother and my mom are always have been much closer. No disrespect or anything meant by that whatsoever. It's just how things happen, I guess. I don't know. Well, thank you, Martha. Hopefully you can find some. I'm surprised at how many people don't mess with Pyrex, in all honesty. You know, and I wasn't even going to do that video because I just figured it was a given, but I talked to a couple people, and they're like, I didn't know Pyrex went for $1,000. I thought that was just kitchen junk, you know, because I used to see it constantly. Even Sabres used to have it all the time. Hey, Can Man, how are you doing? I have a Smokey the Bear Tonka Jeep. Any good way to value? You should be able to find one of those on Terapeak. I'm almost positive on that one. My son's got a, well, not anymore. I think he trashed it, but a Volkswagen Thing, if you know what that was, and he used to ride around it. It was a 1960s version. I always liked the Tonka. We have a couple around. I've got a Tonka fire truck in the garage now that I was debating on cleaning up. Paid $1 for it. It's missing every accessory, but the main body's there, and it's got the one extended ladder to it, if you know what I'm talking about. So they're long. They're about like this big. I've had them before, but has some rust. I know people buy those too. They'll fix them up. You can repaint and buy reproduction stickers for Tonka if you didn't know. In fact, I think there's a channel on here that just does repairs, or they'll redo a vintage car, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're running down to the end here. I found a huge Charles Sidewell, massive box full of vintage marks, toys, as well as tanks. Look them up. Don't, if you've got the German one, I think it says 357 on the top side of the tank. I usually get like $40, 30 to $40 for all those. The marksmen go for crazy mad, so look up individuals. If you have the stretcher, it's going to be two guys, two single figures with their hands by their side, and a stretcher and the guy that lays down in the stretcher. It's a 4-piece set. Those are like $50 on their own. That one's always missed by people because they don't realize they go together. Treasure hunter. There's some people out there that basically don't like people who actually know things. So be it. I move on from those. After today, I probably won't even be thinking about this until I gotta take some stuff down to the police department or something. Yes, Addict Deals this. You can just go back and watch it. I've got DVR on tonight, too, with this. Usually it'll process, and all the comments in the feed won't show up immediately, but once it's processed, you'll be able to look at the comments in the feed. So if you wait like 3 or 4 hours, all the feed comments are always there. I've had some questions on that. Why isn't the comments available from on Rewatch? It will be after about a couple hours after the show has been done. Let's move down here. We're just going to take a couple more questions. Yeah, we're almost down to the end here. I actually have somebody who just sent me a screenshot right now, so apparently somebody is listening, so yeah, okay. So that's fine. So again, if you see that person, if you didn't know what I'm talking about, I've got a cyber stalker, a cyber harasser. I'm just asking for screenshots of him. Rewind it and please see it. If you see the post on other channels, he's not posting them on mine. But enough of that. Let's just go down and take one more because we're right at the 9 o'clock. I didn't plan on going all day. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it very kindly. 70s toys are really easy. You can just search comps on eBay, WorthPoint, or on Terapeak. As long as you know the item, Terapeak is good. If you're not sure in the item, you can't look at individual listings on Terapeak. You can only see the tiny little thumb and hope that it's the right item. But there's usually enough information for almost every vintage toy out there from the 70s. I grew up on 70s toys, so luckily I know what line they came from just because I played with them. I remember more of that stuff than I do some of the stuff from places I've worked, 10 years ago. Just because I love the toys. I collected them for years of my life, even when I got older. So, once you know your brands, you're good. But most toys have a patent number, either on the bottom of their foot or the back of their leg, or on some of the Star Wars even, it's like on the inside of their leg. Like Lucas LF, I think it's LFL or something like that. Lucasfilms Limited or something. It has on the bottom of some of the Star Wars toys and stuff. As long as you can look them up, just by what's marked on the foot, usually you can look them up. If you type in the copyright and the date in the toy section, usually it'll come up with a name of some other toys. It might not be the same toy you have, but they'll look obviously from the same series or same line of toys. That's usually what I used to do when I couldn't figure out the 90s toys. Because most of those are after I was, grown up and everything, So that's what I do for most of those. Let's just take one more. Did I miss something here? Let me go down. I was looking for one more question. Yeah, I'm not looking to be a famous person. I wouldn't say that. And I'm not looking for haters, but never had to deal with one. Especially one doing this for a year. This is just ridiculous. Treasure Hunt, I'm doing well with a huge lot of antique photos. Thank you. Vintage pens. Yes, I've touched on vintage pens several times, including vintage pencils, Charles. Rapidograph are very expensive. If you get their marker set or their pens, their ink pens, you got to fill them up. And in fact, I've got one over here. I've used them in college even. Some of those can go for like $40 for an empty pen, no ink in it. Of course, they disassemble. Parts can be moved and replaced. They're very expensive. They're basically like drafting pens. Rapidograph made a lot of drafting material as well. In fact, one of these days on the other channel, I'll show you my tower of pencils, because I got huge cabinets of art supplies and stuff, because I love art. Even if I didn't make money at it, I'd still do it all the time. So anyway, I think we'll let it go with that. Again, I'm sorry that we didn't get to some better conversation today. Won't hear this conversation again. If somebody wants an update, I may share just an update, but you know, I'm just going forward. So again, anybody has any pages or any screenshots they share, again, it'll be 100% no one will know. When I download them from Instagram, it doesn't even show where they came from. It just is the page that you copy. So, you know, no one will ever know who you are or anything like that. So if you don't want to be involved in that, and even if you don't want to do a screenshot for me, all you got to do is give me the channel's name and the name of the video, or even a date that the video was published, and I'll be happy to spend my time doing the rest from there. So again, I don't, you know, wish anybody ill harm, but, you know, making, you know, constant harassment and you know, stalking my every move on YouTube is just ridiculous, and it's a crime, a felony if he's from another state. It's a felony for a child being present in my facility, him committing a felony by doing stalking on a business that has children, because they are minors. This is from the police department, so you know, you can verify anything you want, but again, I'm giving you out the straight dope. Everything I've said is legitimate to the best of my knowledge and understanding. So anyway, I appreciate everybody coming on. I thank you for all the kind words, and we will be at Better Way tomorrow. Live show, lots of good conversation, nothing but eBay, no bad thoughts, no nothing. Stay tuned tomorrow. I've got Chris, Thrift Shop Hustler, is on, good bud of ours, and I've got Dom, Primetime Treasure, another good bud of ours. So the three of us will be conversing tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Primetime Treasure Hunters channel. So again, I thank everybody for being on tonight.